Well, hello. It's David Taylor or Mr. Pelargonium, and welcome back to my channel. I thought I would actually just do a very quick video. I haven't done one for my own channel for a little while, to be quite honest. I've been working on a lot for the Pelargonium and Geranium Society in recent weeks. So I thought I'd chuck a quick one out for for my own channel. Just prior to leaving for California in a couple of days, going off to the Geranium Conference, which is being held in Southern California, hosted by the San Diego Geranium Society. So I'm looking forward to going out there. Hopefully it'll be a bit warmer than it is here. It's turned very cold in the UK in the last day or two. Filming this on Monday the 6th of March. And this week they're forecasting snow, which is going to be really quite interesting. Make it nice and complicated for my daughter, who has to look after my plants whenever I'm away. Now all of my potting on has been completed. Anything which mostly realistically involves my Regals. My Regals have grown on greatly. This big batch over here and many others dotted about. They've grown on massively during the winter and a lot have been potted on now. Just for ease of watering for my daughter, I have had to put them out a bit. So things on the main show benches are a little bit tight. These will be sort of thinned out a bit as the spring progresses. But yeah, I've done a lot of stopping. Obviously, you've seen me in the Pelargonium and Geranium Society. Stopped all my Regals way back at the end of December, realistically. So they were all done. All the zonals have been done in February. So everything's stopped. Anything that's needed potting on has been done. And it's just a question now of really waiting for the spring to get going, which supposedly is going to be next week. It's meant to be warming up. But as I've said, this week it's turning very cold, which is somewhat frustrating because we want to see things get a little bit of a move on now, because it's surprising how quickly the months will pass through. Now I've got a couple of little blooms which I can just show you here. This is Osborne. I really quite like this. This is a big multi-stem standard that I'm growing here. I really like this one. And not monumentally dissimilar to one of Steve Pollard's Stellar hybrids. This has just got a number, hasn't got a name yet. But I've grown that on as a standard. That's really quite nice. I've grown that through, and I've got a good number of other of my standards that have come through the winter okay. This is Phyllis, of course. Putting on a lot of new growth now. We've still got a few older leaves which I will take off, but that's got up to a really good height. I don't want it to get any taller. And that's just beginning to grow. The light levels have obviously improved massively over the last month, as we're into March now. Monumental difference in the amount of light that my glass house here, which is relatively sheltered, gets, because now, from about now on, I have sun on it all day long, which does make a monumental difference to the amount of growth that I get. Here's the standard of Stat Burn, which I did on the Pelargonium and Geranium Society channel a week or two ago, a couple of weeks ago. It's not doing too much. As I say, we need a bit of warmth now to give them a bit of a kick. My standard Angel, Berry Zest, that's doing okay. That's just beginning to break. You can see from the stops there. There's the stops and the little breaks just beginning to peek out from the main stems that I've given a stop to 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they're doing all right, and everything's coming on. As I say, you've got little bits and pieces of colour. That's Peppermint Star. Now that will actually get a bit lighter. A number of Pelargoniums at this time of year, in the late winter, do give off a bit of a false colour. the particularly zonals. For example, this is Gosbrook Susanna, and that is very sort of, well, in a way, sort of purplish red. It gets a bit lighter than that as the season progresses and the summer comes through. So don't be concerned if your early blooms for any plants that you say are not cut back or have just begun to bloom show a bit of a deeper, richer colour than they may normally in the summer. Don't worry about that. That is quite normal. Some train plants here. Here's my fans. These are growing on that petals. And this is my Sufi Dumares standard, which I had out last summer in the garden and will be going out again once we get to the end of May. That's done very well, actually. Survives on ignorance, this plant. I've given it very, very little water during the winter. It's just stood there. And it just does everything you want it to do, really. It's got a lovely colour. The blooms are fairly simple, but it doesn't really matter at all, to be honest. A couple of young standards here, Bicolours, Chelsea Gem, and that one's Chelsea Star, rather, I should say, not Chelsea Gem. And that one is Maxine Collie. They're young. They'll grow up now as this coming season, they'll get to the size that I want them to get to. And hopefully get to a good size and begin the bushing process in the head, which I'll no doubt cover in other videos. Now up this end, we've got my butterfly Brian West, which has come on okay. A lot of these do need water. I'm holding out until tomorrow. You can see one or two of these just getting a little bit limp. It's because I know they're dry, but I want to wait until tomorrow so that my daughter doesn't have to do too much until much later in the week. And knowing what the weather forecast is, I don't think they're going to be drying out a great deal anyway. So, but these are getting good water tomorrow. But that one's Rushmore Tom Kirkland, or maybe called just Tom Kirkland. It's a Steve Pollard hybrid that was named last year, but I've got a good standard of that. That's not too bad at all. So there we are. I think that's just about it. I thought I'd just do a little bit of a run round just at this time of mainly because I've just not done anything in the last couple of months probably for this channel. Everything is beginning to put on a little bit of growth. We got my standard of Bolero there. That's really beginning to bush out. My Atomic Snowflake, that's begun to show a bit of colour and a bit of vibrancy in the leaf. Everything's just begun to grow away now. Big plant of Orset down there. And that's, what's the oak one, isn't it? Always forget the name of some of them. It's not Royal Oak. I'm not going to be able to find the label now, am I? One of the oak varieties. Found it. Oh, Fair Ellen. Yes, sorry, it's not one of the oak ones. It's Fair Ellen, but it's an oak-shaped leaf, which is part of the course of those. But yeah, so they're all growing away now. The vibrancy of the extra light, that extra light is really kicking on the photosynthesis in the leaves. It's really making them really start to sort of put in a bit of growth and a bit of sap rising now into the leaves, which is really nice to see. Okay, so I think that's just about it from me today. Hope you enjoy that. Just a little bit of a look round before I sort of disappear for a couple of weeks. And I hope to see you towards the end of the month when hopefully, the plants will be really starting to get a move on. So it's good to see you again. Bye-bye from me for now.